Libra, my dear. Someone is coming to your home and she won't be alone. This isn't just a visit. This is a divine intervention. Welcome to Zodiac Whisper Tarot, where every message is a sacred thread between your soul and the unseen energies that guide your path. If you're here right now, it means your intuition has been speaking louder than usual, and today, the universe is answering back. Let me be direct with you. There is a woman coming to your house. And she may bring with her an authority figure. Whether it's the police, a lawyer, a representative of a legal system, or simply someone with powerful energy, this presence is not accidental. It is spiritual. It is karmic. And it is necessary. You may have already felt it. Perhaps you've had dreams of someone knocking on your door. Maybe you've been startled by strange silences in your space. Or you've caught a glimpse of someone's eyes that send a chill down your spine. Your body knows. Your spirit has known all along. This message is your confirmation. Libra, you've spent your life seeking peace. But there are moments when peace becomes a disguise for silence. And silence, when misused, becomes a doorway for imbalance. Today, you are being called back into your power, not to shout, not to fight, but to stand in the center of your truth without apology. Let me ask you something. Have you been feeling watched lately? Have you questioned your safety or trust in a woman around you? Have you noticed someone crossing lines they never used to cross? This isn't paranoia. This is perception. And it's sacred. Comment below with the phrase, "I trust my inner voicito." Affirm that you're not just watching this video, you're receiving it as a spiritual contract. This one act of writing anchors the energy into your reality and opens the path for divine protection. Before we move forward, allow me to express my deepest gratitude for your presence. Every like, every comment, and every new subscription brings you closer to this healing space we've created together. Your support doesn't just fuel this channel, it activates the light within you that called you here in the first place. We are more than a YouTube channel. This is a spiritual family. And Libra, your place here is no accident. So stay with me until the very end, because what the universe is about to unveil could shift not just your day but the direction of your life. You will understand why the woman is coming. You will learn what she truly brings. And you will remember who you are in the face of it all. Now, tell me, my faithful Libra, what did your soul feel right before you clicked on this video? What has your body been whispering in the silence? And are you finally ready to listen? There are moments in life when what appears on the surface, a familiar face, a gentle voice, a polite visit, hides layers of meaning that our spirit has sensed long before our minds can interpret them. In this moment, Libra, the arrival of this woman, accompanied by someone in authority, is not just a random event. It's a mirrored reflection of everything you've been quietly feeling but hesitating to confront. Her presence signals a threshold, a call to reevaluate what you've allowed to remain silent, to look deeper at the dynamics around you that have shifted ever so subtly, and to recognize that the time for passive observation is ending. Justice doesn't always knock loudly. Sometimes it enters the room disguised in familiar clothing. This is not about punishment, but about restoration. The tarot card, La Justicia, reminds us that the universe doesn't sleep on imbalance. It doesn't forget what your heart has whispered in the quietest hours of the night. If you've been avoiding confrontation to maintain peace, if you've convinced yourself that things will work themselves out, then this energy is here to lovingly but firmly correct that illusion. Justice is not about vengeance. It's about clarity, fairness, and the reclaiming of your inner authority. In astrology, Libra is ruled by Venus, the planet of harmony and beauty but also of values. When someone violates your values, whether through subtle manipulation, dishonesty, or exploitation of your grace, you feel it first as a ripple in your emotional field. Over time, that ripple becomes a knot in your stomach, a tightness in your chest, a strange tension in the presence of someone you once trusted. These physical cues are not irrational. They are the language of your energy body communicating truths your mind has been too afraid to voice. This situation, this arrival, this moment. It is not here to ruin your sense of order. It's here to restore it. But it begins not with the other person, it begins with you. With your willingness to ask, what have I allowed in the name of politeness? What papers have I signed without really feeling good about it? What conversations have I avoided because I didn't want to make things awkward? Now is the time to revisit documents. To reread agreements. To write down every interaction that has felt off, but you brushed aside. If something feels too coincidental, it probably isn't. The patterns you're seeing? They're forming a message. And your awareness of it is your first step toward taking your power back. In self-help and psychological healing, this is called reclaiming cognitive and emotional sovereignty. It's the moment you stop gaslighting yourself and start trusting your inner radar again. Not every act of betrayal looks like betrayal. Sometimes, it smiles. Sometimes, it hugs. Sometimes, it signs a contract. You don't need to panic. You don't need to accuse anyone. But you do need to stay alert. And above all, you need to choose clarity over comfort. The version of you that tolerates to keep the peace is not the version of you that's being called forward in this chapter. If you've ever experienced divine timing, those strange moments where everything just clicks, where what was hidden becomes visible, you know that the universe does indeed intervene when something sacred within you is being compromised. And though we may not speak of faith in religious terms here, know this: clarity is grace. Discernment is protection. And your ability to act without fear is already a blessing in motion. Pause now and ask yourself, with honesty and compassion, what's one truth you've known but avoided saying out loud? Take a moment to share it in the comments. Writing it down is not just self-expression, it's spiritual anchoring. It's how energy becomes intention. And intention, dear Libra, is the first doorway to transformation. Sometimes the most significant shifts in life begin not with bold events, but with quiet whispers in the middle of the night. Perhaps you felt it, Libra's subtle knocking in your dreams, a strange repetition of symbols you can't quite explain, the image of someone unfamiliar yet eerily familiar showing up again and again. These aren't just fleeting moments. They're part of a larger dialogue between your inner world and the energetic currents moving around you. And the longer you ignore that conversation, the louder it tries to speak. When you dream of someone standing at your door, or wake up feeling like you're being observed, your subconscious is signaling that something in your environment is shifting. It's rarely literal, but it's always meaningful. The Moon card in the Tarot La Luna captures this perfectly. Its message is not about fear, but about deep perception. It invites you to explore what has been hidden under layers of politeness, denial, or emotional fog. Under its soft light, you are being guided to see what has been concealed in plain sight. Astrologically, when the waning moon crosses your fourth house, the house of home, safety, and emotional foundation, it's not uncommon for themes around family, security, or ancestral memory to surface. This transit often stirs the unseen, the unspoken, and the unresolved. You may begin to notice sudden emotional waves or flashes of memory that seem disconnected from your current reality. These are not distractions. They are invitations to look closer, to slow down, to question what you've been too busy to notice. In self-help and energy therapy, we often speak of pattern awareness. It's the process of tracking what keeps showing up not just in your outer world, but within your body, your dreams, your instincts. If the same person, image, or feeling keeps reappearing, it's rarely random. These patterns are portals. And when honored, they open access to clarity, healing, and empowered decision-making. Now, it's true that life moves fast. Most people are taught to override these messages, to push forward, to stay logical, to dismiss dreams as nothing more than leftover thoughts. But experience has shown, time and time again, that those who learn to listen deeply create space for miracles to unfold. I've known people who journaled a dream about water flooding their home only to later uncover financial sabotage from someone they trusted. Others have written about strangers watching them, only to discover a hidden betrayal weeks later. What saved them wasn't luck. It was presence. Attention. Honoring the signal. In everyday life, these intuitive nudges can come in simple ways. A gut feeling when entering a room, a shift in your breathing when someone starts talking, a strange heaviness when you open an email. These may seem minor, but when combined with repeating dreams or unexplained feelings, they're often part of something much bigger. And the earlier you recognize the pattern, the more power you have to redirect its course. You don't need to solve it all at once, but you do need to start documenting. Write down your dreams, even the confusing ones. Note the details: what time you wake up, how your body feels, what symbols or people appear. Then look for connections between what you dream and what you're living. You might be surprised by how quickly the fog begins to lift. If you've ever found yourself regretting not listening to your gut, you're not alone. Most of us have been there. But today is not about regret. It's about readiness. You have the tools. You have the wisdom. And you are more intuitive than you give yourself credit for. This moment is an invitation to return to that knowing. To lean into your awareness. To trust that what you sense, no matter how quiet it seems, is worth listening to. What often surprises us the most is not the stranger who acts out of alignment, but the familiar one. The voice we've known for years, the face we've welcomed into our inner circle, the presence we never thought to question. And yet, Libra, this is exactly where the most delicate lessons in discernment arise. Not every betrayal wears a mask of malice. Sometimes it arrives dressed in warmth, in nostalgia, in the echo of, "I'm here to help." But energy never lies, and your body has likely known the truth long before your mind was ready to name it. In astrology, your sign is the archetype of justice and beauty, but also of trust. You thrive in partnerships, in connection, in believing that harmony is possible when both sides show up with honesty. But what happens when one side only appears to be in integrity? The presence of the Seven of Swords in this phase of your story doesn't mean you've failed at it, means you're finally ready to see with clarity. This card reveals what has been obscured by charm or cleverness. It points to words that don't match action, to advice that benefits the giver more than you, to guidance wrapped in guilt. We live in a time where manipulation has become more refined. It's no longer always aggressive or loud. Instead, it shows up in conversations that subtly erode your confidence, in pressure framed as concern, in the soft coercion of, "I only want what's best for you." But you can feel it. In the knot in your stomach when you agree to something you didn't want. In the tightness in your chest when you try to speak your truth but find yourself shrinking. In the heaviness that lingers long after the conversation ends. These are not just emotional reactions, they are intuitive messages from the body, designed to protect you from further compromise. From the lens of energy healing and self-help, this moment is about boundaries, not walls, but clarity. You're being asked not to judge the other person, but to recognize that not everyone gets lifetime access to your trust. Trust, like love, is sacred. It is not owed. It is earned. And if someone once honored it and now weaponizes it, it's okay to reevaluate their place in your life. This does not make you harsh. It makes you responsible. There's also a quiet invitation in this, to review the agreements you've made verbally, emotionally, even financially. Have you committed to something that no longer feels aligned? Have you signed something under emotional pressure? Have you stayed silent in a situation where your voice needed to rise? You are not here to be manipulated into compliance. You are here to live in integrity with your inner knowing. When I think about how these moments unfold in real life, I recall stories of people who trusted the wrong guidance and only later realized that the person leading them had their own agenda. I remember a woman who allowed her cousin to handle her finances during a stressful season, only to discover months later that important documents had been altered. The lesson wasn't in the betrayal, it was in the awakening. It was in the moment she said, "Never again," and began reclaiming her voice, her space, her authority. Let this be that moment for you. Not the moment you close your heart, but the one where you center it. Where you remember that discernment is not judgment, that boundaries are not rejection, and that when someone's energy feels heavier than their words, it's okay to pause. You are allowed to ask questions. You are allowed to delay decisions. And you are absolutely allowed to protect your peace without needing anyone's permission. If any part of you has ever smiled back at someone while your spirit whispered, "Something's not right," I invite you to share that below. Your comment may help someone else name their own quiet truth. There are times when silence feels like safety, but only on the surface. For someone like you, Libra, who values peace above all else, it's natural to believe that staying quiet keeps the balance. That if you speak up, something precious will fall apart. But here's the deeper truth: silence is not always sacred. In some moments, it becomes a slow surrender. A way we unintentionally teach others that our boundaries are negotiable. That our discomfort can be overlooked, so long as the room stays calm. And when we do this often enough, we start losing touch with what peace actually means. The Four of Pentacles appears here as a powerful symbol. On one hand, it speaks of protection, of knowing what is yours to keep safe. Your energy, your home, your voice, your values. But on the other hand, it gently questions whether you've been holding on to stillness out of strength or out of fear. Are you protecting yourself? Or are you shielding others from discomfort at your own expense? Astrologically, Libra sits opposite Aries, the sign of bold truth and personal assertion. That axis between harmony and courageous where your greatest growth often lies. And right now, the stars are pointing you back to that inner center, where calm and clarity can finally coexist. This is not a time to please everyone. This is a time to realign with yourself. In energy healing and self-help work, we talk about energetic hygiene, the same way we talk about physical wellness. Just as you wash your body and clean your home, your energy field also needs tending. Unspoken resentments gather like dust. Unexpressed truths sit heavy in the body. That's why small rituals like resetting your space, breathing intentionally, drinking clean water, or journaling without a filter are not just wellness tips. They are acts of self-respect. They are declarations that say, I am not abandoning myself, even when it's inconvenient. I've seen countless stories where someone stayed quiet to protect the feelings of others, only to find themselves emotionally drained, mentally scattered, or even physically sick. And I've also seen the healing that begins when they finally speak. Sometimes it's a whisper. Sometimes it's a gentle no. Sometimes it's just standing still when someone tries to push. But whatever the form, that one act becomes a ripple. It clears space. It opens air. It allows light to re-enter where stagnation had taken hold. There's an expression I often hear in communities of faith that God moves through order. And what that really means is, chaos doesn't always come from confrontation. Sometimes, chaos is what brews quietly when nothing is confronted. You are not protecting anyone by letting your truth rot inside you. You are only delaying the inevitable lesson, that people cannot meet your needs if you keep hiding them. So I gently invite you to ask yourself, what version of peace are you choosing? One that heals, or one that hides? What would happen if you believed that your clarity is more valuable than your compliance? And if this question touches a part of you that's been waiting to breathe, share it. Name the moment when you stayed silent, even though your heart was begging you to speak. Comment below if you've ever felt that your calm was mistaken for agreement. You are not alone. And your voice is far more powerful than you realize. Sometimes the most radical act of love is the quiet decision to no longer lie to yourself. That's how light gets in. Not with noise but with honest space. There's a certain quiet strength that rises within you, Libra, when you finally choose to walk in truth even when no one claps for it, even when it costs you something. And while the situation before you might feel like a storm, a rupture, or even a betrayal, there's a much deeper layer unfolding beneath the chaos. Because the soul doesn't grow where it's comfortable. It grows where clarity demands it. And in this moment, that demand is gently but firmly asking for your alignment. The star and the chariot coming together in your energy right now is no accident. The star brings restoration after the tower. It shines when things have crumbled, illuminating what still holds value. It reminds you that no matter what you've lost or feared, losing your essence is untouched. Your integrity is still here. Your vision is still alive. The chariot, on the other hand, asks for movement. But not reckless motion, purposeful direction. Together, these cards speak of divine momentum. Not the kind you force, but the kind that arrives because you've chosen truth over illusion. Let's go deeper. You may be facing something that feels unfair, heavy, or confusing, maybe even confronting someone who's misused their power or twisted your words. But you are not powerless in this. Justice, both cosmic and earthly, responds not only to evidence, but to energy. And your choice to walk in honesty, to document the facts, to show up without drama but with resolve, creates a magnetic field that invites alignment. The law of vibration teaches us that like attracts like. When you move with clean intent, the universe rearranges to meet you there even if it takes time. I've seen this play out in real life more times than I can count. A Libra woman once shared her story with me. Her cousin falsely accused her of financial misconduct, even bringing police to her door. But she had done the inner work. She had journaled everything, saved records, remained calm. And above all, she had faith not just in divine timing, but in herself. Within a week, the truth came to light, and her cousin was held accountable for her lies. That wasn't a fairy tale. That was spiritual maturity meeting divine timing. That was grace. We often think miracles are lightning bolts, sudden, dramatic, unmistakable. But more often, they are quiet moments of courage. A sentence you write down when something feels off. A conversation you don't avoid, even when your voice shakes. A door you close with love because it no longer supports your peace. These are sacred acts. They're the kind of decisions that open portals to higher timeliness, ones where your dignity stays intact and your future doesn't pay for someone else's confusion. When you choose to take aligned action not out of fear or revenge, but out of inner truth, you partner with something larger than yourself. Call it divine justice. Call it higher order. Call it universal law. Whatever the name, the effect is the same. The fog clears. The masks fall. And the path ahead, once murky, begins to make sense. If you're in the midst of something that feels too big, too heavy, or too unjust to carry, take this as your reminder: you are not alone, and this moment is not the end. This is the point where your preparation, your clarity, and your faith meet divine order. And the result is not just vindication, it's transformation. So take a breath. Ground yourself in what you know is right. Then take the next step, however small, in the direction of your peace. You're not walking alone. And where you're headed? It's better than you imagined. Keep going. Justice is not delayed. It's preparing your breakthrough. Beloved Libra, if you've made it this far, then I know deep in my heart that something within this message has spoken to a part of you that's long been waiting to be seen. You didn't find this video by accident. The universe doesn't send its whispers to those who aren't ready to hear. And now, here you are, standing at the threshold between the comfort of silence and the power of your truth. This moment is not about fear. It's about remembrance. It's about reclaiming your role not as a peacekeeper who sacrifices themselves for harmony, but as a guardian of real peace, born through clarity, honesty, and spiritual alignment. You do not need anyone's permission to honor what you know to be true. You don't have to explain your intuition or shrink your truth just to make someone else comfortable. Libra, your sense of justice isn't just symbolic, it's cellular. You were born with the knowing that balance must include you, too. And today, I gently ask, what parts of yourself have you set aside in order to maintain someone else's illusion? What truth inside you is ready to breathe again? Now is the time to come back to your inner sanctuary. To stand, not in defiance, but in divine steadiness. To no longer be the gatekeeper of false peace, but the living, breathing embodiment of integrity. Because when you choose the light, it walks with you. Not every path will be easy, but every step taken in truth leads to liberation. And your freedom, Libra, doesn't need to be loud, it just needs to be real. So let me ask you gently, what are you ready to stop tolerating in silence? What will you no longer carry just to avoid conflict? What would shift if you truly believed your truth deserves space even when it's inconvenient? You are not here to perform peace. You are here to become it. Let your voice be the key that opens the door. Let your boundary be the prayer that protects your joy. Let your clarity be the miracle that redirects your life. If something inside you resonated, I invite you right now to anchor that transformation in the physical by writing these sacred words in the comments. I choose truth. I am not afraid of the light. I protect the sanctuary of my soul. I am the light. I am the gatekeeper of my peace. These aren't just affirmations. They're soul contracts. And by declaring them, you signal to the universe that you are ready not just to receive justice, but to live it. And if this message has brought you even one breath of clarity, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who might also be standing at a quiet crossroads, and subscribe to our sacred circle here at Zodiac Whisper Tarot. Your presence, your engagement, your energy's what keeps this channel pulsing with purpose. Thank you for being part of something much bigger than content. This is soul work. This is community. Before you go, take this with you. Your lucky colors this week are pure white and soft gold, symbols of spiritual clarity and gentle strength. Your guiding numbers, 4, 7, and 22, foundations, spiritual awakening, and divine alignment. And for your well-being, nurture your core by sipping warm ginger tea in the morning. Ground your nervous system with calm evening meditation. And if you're open, breathe deeply with this gentle phrase before sleep. He leads me beside still waters. You're not alone. You're not behind. You're exactly on time. The truth has always been with you. Now, let it walk ahead of you. Let it clear the path. And let your soul finally exhale. Until next time, with all my love, this is Zodiac Whisper Tarot. Keep listening. The universe is still speaking.